Welcome back. Our second guest is naturopath, respiratory specialist and published author Julia Rudakova, and she will be talking about breathing retraining and its importance. Welcome, Julia.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. This is such a fantastic topic. I love talking about that.
So can you tell us a bit about breathing retraining and its importance?
I always start talking to people about the rule of three. And the rule of three tells us about our survival needs. And an average human person can't live without food for, on average, 3 weeks, without water on average 3 days, and without air up to 3 minutes. And that just shows us a hierarchy of importance of where we should put our attention to. And breathing is automatic. So the question that I get asked a lot is, why is it so important? Because we breathe. What's wrong with how I breathe? And the thing is that in our modern life, we do get a lot of triggers, a lot of stresses. And I'm not talking about emotional stresses or mental, it's chemical stresses from the environment, from our food, especially packaged food. And that affects how we breathe through the nervous system. So when we deal with a stressor, and if we talk about chemical stresses, it tells the body that there is danger. When there is danger, the body will start breathing differently, as if you're running away from a tiger. And if that happens day in, day out, that becomes a habit, that becomes a pattern is formed, and the body keeps breathing in a certain way. That's where breathing retraining comes into play. And what we do, we look at what habits have been formed up to now, and we retrain the body to reverse that pattern. So if they have a very obvious chest breathing, so breathing with the upper chest, you notice that the shoulders are moving when you breathe. So some people, when they sit up straight, you can noticeably see the movement of the shoulders. So that's not functional. This tells the body that you need to be alert, that it's stress, that you're running away from danger, and that's not a very optimal way of living, really. So nasal breathing above all. So we need to re-establish nasal breathing for proper function of the whole body, because our breathing affects our pH in the blood. It affects relaxation and contraction of the muscles, the muscle recovery, and we are all muscle. Our digestive tract is a muscle, contracting, pushing the food down. Our airways contracting, relaxing. Our heart is a muscle. So we need to help the body function properly, and breathing is the first step to do that.
Can you demonstrate one of the techniques with breathing retraining?
For the fun of it, today we can do a bit of samurai breathing, I call it. So I always go back to that story that in ancient Japan, when they picked a young boy to be a samurai or a young man, they would do a breath test, breathing test, and they would use a feather for that test. So I do have a feather with me, and I'll show you how to do that. What that test does, it shows us whether the body is at its optimal. So whether the body can slow down and breathe gently without force through the nose and slowly, right? When we have that, we know that we can relax and we can focus, right? So relaxation and focus, they come hand in hand. So I have this feather with me. It's a beautiful feather, and this is what I give to kids who come to do breathing retraining with me, and adults as well, because it's fun and it brings that concentration into the breathing process, because breathing can be relaxing. You can really relax into that and forget that we're doing the retraining. So what we do is we sit up straight. So if you sit up straight and imagine that you have a string attached to the top of your head, and someone is pulling the string up, and your whole spine is nice and straight, and you have a fine feather under your nose. So we can use our finger just to feel the warmth, how much air we breathe out, and focus on that for a little bit. And once you get that normal breathing, so it's just normal breathing, whatever comes, when you have that and you feel that warmth on your finger, and relax into that, the back is straight. And the next step here is to breathe in a little bit less. Just imagine in your mind's eye that you breathe a little bit less, right? And you will notice that there is not as much warmth. So it's still warm, you're alive, yeah, the air goes in and out, but it's a little bit less, not as much air hits the finger, right? And with the feather, it gets a little bit more fun, because you can see the fine fibers. They move when I speak, they move when I breathe. So with the feather under the nose, the aim is to be able to breathe very, very gently, just for a minute or two, so that the fine fibers, they stay relatively still. They move a little bit because they're really, really fine, as you can see. You don't need a feather, you can just use your finger and imagine that airflow, and that you breathe less and less and less, not to the point of dizziness, but just as a game, as a little play, to see how gently and slowly and quietly you can breathe for a minute or two.
And what tips would you give to people who are interested in breathing retraining?
Right, so first and foremost, we need to be aware. What is happening in the body? And you know, there is a lot of mindful practices nowadays, and one of the best practices for mindfulness is being aware of your breathing pattern. Drop into the body, see what's happening with the muscles, where the diaphragm is moving, whether you're breathing with your chest, whether the mouth is open, or you're okay to breathe through the nose, or sometimes it's difficult and you're a bit blocked and congested. So what's happening there? So just that awareness, and you can weave that. You don't need to find 10 minutes, I need to do my breathing and find some time and space. It can be as easy as you stop at the red traffic light and you can check in with the body. What's happening? Where is my breathing today? What is happening with my chest, with my diaphragm? Am I breathing through the nose? Is it heavy? Can I hear myself breathe? So all those questions, and then you address that one symptom at a time. And always seek advice of a professional breathwork facilitator, qualified naturopath, medical professional, to help you on that journey.
Thank you so much, Julia, for those insights. If you'd like to know more about breathing retraining and Julia, you can visit her webpage on our website, healthwellbeingandlifestyle.com.au.